Very good morning to you all. St. Joseph College, Arts and Science, PG Department of Commerce, in coordination with we are conducting international webinar series on trade, distinctiveness, and global development. With the support and blessings of our founder, chairman, Reverend Father J.R. Rash, and all other DFP people. Especially, we are happy and very at the same time, I welcome our principal, Dr. Kovur, Vice Principal Pamela Alexander, Vijay Lakshmi, and all of the patients staff members. Now, I invite Reverend Sister Dr. K. Sandhya to say a prayer and blessing to start our international webinar series. Welcome, dear sister.
God can handle your doubt, anger, fear, grief, confusion, and questions. You can bring everything to Him in prayer. Good morning, friends. Happy morning, all of you. May I request all of you to close your eyes for a moment for the opening prayer. Give thanks to the Lord with a grateful heart. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this international webinar. Bless our principal, Dr. Ruben, vice principals, staff members, participants from different countries and India. We also ask you to shower your blessings upon Reverend Dr. Adekela Sami, head of the department, Commerce, and his team members for undertaking this effort to organize this international webinar. I also ask you for your graces and guidance for the resource person, Mr. Balaji Manohar, who is going to handle this session. Bless him, shower your graces upon him. Help all the participants to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow them to grow closer as a group and nurture them with wisdom and knowledge. Lord, We also earnestly pray for the people who are affected by the coronavirus. May all of them get recovered by your Holy Spirit and receive new hope and life. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, dear sister, for your blessings and encouragement to have this international webinar series. It's my great pleasure to welcome and with your blessings for this session. We have invited Mr. Balaji Manohar, and he is a well-known person in taxation. Balaji Manohar has 10 years of experience providing tax consulting and accounting services to high net worth individuals, their closely held businesses, and their related trusts and exempt organizations. Mr. Balaji addresses the needs of the business and business owner in an integrated manner to help ensure that planning opportunities are optimized. His experience includes federal and multi-state taxation of corporations through entities and individuals. Mr. Balaji has experiences addressing the tax issues associated with Section 1031, like kind exchanges. He has represented his clients before the Internal Revenue Service and Franchise Tax Board for examinations, adults and appeal. Mr. Balaji has MS in taxation from California State University. He is certified public accountant licensed in California and in the USA. So, Mr. Balaji, we are happy to have you today as a resource person on behalf of our founder, Reverend Father J. Arun Raj, and on behalf of our administrator, Reverend Sister K. Sandhya, and on behalf of our principal, Dr. R. Ruben, our vice principal, and from our department, we welcome you wholeheartedly. Welcome, sir, and you can proceed the session.
Thank you, Adekalam. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. So, last week I was talking to Father Adekalam. He was explaining about how Indian government, are like announcing the schemes, and I was talking to him about how the U.S. government, helping the U.S. people, and he wanted me to share that with the students. So he requested, and I agreed, and that's how it started. So instead of just talking about what the government is doing here, and I also want to share with you about my knowledge regarding how the U.S. taxes works here briefly. I know I'm short of time, but I'll try my best to explain with the available time, whatever I can, my best. So. So today we are going to see how the US taxation works here, and actually the background briefly, and how the government is giving relief to individuals as well as the businesses here. So getting into the taxation, we can divide the taxation between different types, mostly between individual, businesses, and the exempt organization. And there are some other entities as well. So I think today I want to cover individual and businesses mostly, and we'll get into that. So under individual, it is like individual people, they file the taxes using Form 1040, similar to ITR Form 1 in India. And the form has different schedules, and the taxpayer uses respective schedules to report their respective income. If the taxpayer or individual has only the salary income, in US it is called Form W2, and in India it's equivalent to Form 16 in India. And and if a taxpayer has the business income, like mostly small businesses, so they report their income expenses, and on the net income they pay taxes on that. Similarly, for rental properties, and if they have a businesses which has a flow-through income, and we'll cover that a little later, and that is reported under Schedule E. And retirement income, which is reported as other income, retirement income. And in addition to this, taxpayer might have interest income and dividend income, and which is the taxpayer can have a tax exempt interest income as well. So those also can include in the Form 1040. And in addition to the income section, there is deductions available. Deductions mainly for retirement contributions. And then we arrive the adjusted gross income. And then based on the type of the taxpayer, whether they're filing separately or like as a single, or married filing separate, married filing joint, so they get a standard deduction. And on the net income, based on the slab rate, they pay taxes on that. And the slab rates are different for each type of taxpayer. And whenever the taxpayer has earned income, meaning when a taxpayer doing a business, so that and he spends a lot of time and doing the business and making income, it is called earned income or a non-passive income. And the other example I can give is, if the taxpayer is making income from the investments, those are called passive income because the taxpayer is not actively engaging in the business to make that income. So those income are called passive income, and it is taxed. Those income are taxed at the regular tax rates. And whenever the taxpayer has earned income or a non-passive income, it is taxed in addition to the regular tax. They have to pay the self-employment tax as well. And depending on their exemptions they have on the return. For example, if they have their kids, so they get deduction for that, as well as they get a tax credit as well for their kids. And there are conditions for each reporting each income and exemptions, as well as any tax credits. And also the taxpayer needs to pay advance tax during the year. So it is divided like 4 payments, and the payments are due in April, June, and September and the January 15th each quarter. So taxpayer need to calculate their projected or advanced tax and need to pay those taxes in 4 equal installments. In addition to the federal tax, the taxpayer need to pay state tax as well. So the federal taxes rate may go up to 39.6%. And there are some additional taxes. It's called net investment income tax at 3.8%, and it is taxed on the investment income. So the state taxes can go up to 13.3%. So when the taxpayer makes a huge income in US, where we can say like more than 350,000 or 400,000, he will be taxed almost like 50%. So people here in US pay a lot of taxes when they make more and more money. And let's get into the other types of tax returns. So then we have a business tax returns. So on the individual return, we also saw that a taxpayer has a small business, he can report his income and deductions on a Schedule C and pay tax on that. But he can set up a separate entity. So these entities can be a flow-through entity or a entity level taxation entity. So the flow-through entities, they do file a tax return with both federal as well as the state, but they do not pay any taxes to federal, but they pay taxes at the state level. Minimum, any entity need to pay at least $800 in California, and it differs to each state. If it is a C corporation, which is entity level taxation entity, so the entity pays tax at the entity level, meaning they report income and report the deductions, then whatever the net income, so they pay tax at flat 21%. Flow-through entity, whatever the net income, it flows between the owners or the shareholders, depending on the type of the entity. If it is a partnership, so based on the profit sharing ratio, the income or the loss, it flows between each partner. If it is a S corporation, between the shareholders, the income and the losses are shared on the profit sharing ratio. Partnership, there are some differences between a partnership and an S corp entity. Mainly, the partnership entity has the advantage of protecting the liability, and also when they make a distribution, it allows to make enough disproportionate distribution to partners. So if it is an S corporation, they have to make a distribution in the same ratio of that capital percentage. But in the partnership, they can make a disproportionate, even though their equity ratio is different. So then let's get into the relief that government is providing to individual and small business in US. So the government is allowed extended the deadline to file the return and also to make contribution and the payment of taxes. And we are going to see in detail on each of these topic. So the government extended the filing deadline from April 15 to July 15. So the usual deadline is April 15 every year, because the year end starts from January 1st and it ends December 31st. Most of the taxpayer, they follow the calendar year, even for businesses. So it is very common in US to follow the calendar year, and the deadline for the individual is April 15. And during the normal years, that any taxpayer can get an extension up to 6 months just by filing the form. It's called on 7004. It's a file to extension. So they get a 6-month extension. But now that extension, 6-month extension, is only to file the return. Whatever the amount they owe, they need to pay by April 15. So there is no extension to make the payment originally. But now the government extended till July 15 even to make the payment. So the taxpayer need to calculate if it doesn't have all the information to prepare and file the return, need to get all the information and or need to calculate by projecting the numbers and need to pay the taxes by July 15 of 2020. But you can file the return on or before October 31st. Also, the taxpayer needs to pay the estimated taxes, otherwise called advance taxes, in 4 equal installments starting April 15, June 15, September 15, and January 15. So the government also extended the first 2 payments till July 15. So initially, the advance tax payments were due on April 15 and June 15. Those were extended till July 15 now without any penalties. And similar to PF, Provident Fund contribution in India, so in US also people can make to retirement. It's called IRA. And also something called HSA, that's a health saving account. So when the taxpayer makes these payments, they can take a deduction against their taxable income. And the deadline to make these payments are April 15. So now these deadlines are also got extended till July 15. And the Congress here has passed the act. It's called CARES Act 2020. And it allowed a payment, a stimulus payment. It's called a stimulus payment of $1,200 to each taxpayer. And if they file a married filing joint, and they're $2,400. So depending on their income level, so they get this $1,200 or $2,400. So if any individual taxpayer, when they file as a single and they make income up to $75,000, they get $1,200. And if they file married filing joint, so they get a stimulus payment of $2,400. And if they have children, each children, they get $500. So the reason the government wants to give money to people here is because of this COVID-19 situation. All the businesses are closed. Most of the businesses are closed, other than the essential ones. All the businesses are closed here, and the people don't have money. The government wants to give money to people so that there will be like enough cash circulation, and people also can afford things. And the other relief is the distributions. So similar to like you withdraw money from your Provident Fund. So in US, you can withdraw your pension contribution money. But once you cross the age of 59 and off, you can withdraw money. It is still taxable withdrawal. But if you withdraw the money before you are 59 years of age, then you are subject to 10% tax penalty. So let's say you have your savings and you want to withdraw $10,000. You withdraw your $10,000, then you have to pay. Let's say you are in a 10% tax bracket. So you have to pay $1,000 in taxes. And in addition to the regular taxes, you also have to pay the 10% penalty. So considering the COVID-19 situation, the slowdown of the economy, the government is allowing now them to withdraw the money without paying any penalties. So now for small businesses, and the government is giving some relief, and we'll go into each one of them. Unlike in India, so in US, most of the states, the employment contract here is employment at will, meaning, so it is always at the will of the employer, can keep the employee or he can send him home. He can fire the employee like any time. And this happens, it is usual here, employer just fires employees if he doesn't like or if he doesn't perform. It's common in US. And so especially with this COVID-19 situation, when businesses are running out of money, so they cannot afford to pay these employees. So either they fire all the employees or they do furlough. Furlough is they keep the employees on the payroll, but there will not be any pay. And also there will not be any work for the employees. So one of the conditions to do the furlough is that these employees cannot work during that period. Cannot work meaning 100% no work. Even the employee checking an email is considered as working, like a 5-minute work is considered as a work, and the employer is supposed to pay the regular salary. So, most of our clients, they did the layoff, and some of them did the furlough, and very few are paying the regular salary, and very few. So most of them are doing, because their business are closed, they cannot afford to pay them, employees. So they are no payroll. That is why the government is giving the stimulus payments to the employees or to the taxpayers, so that they will have money, to buy their essentials. And let's get into each one of them. So the first one for the small business is the employee retention credit. So just by keeping the employee in the payroll, they get a credit of the maximum amount is $5,000 per employee. So they can, again, this is a tax credit. This is not a deduction, tax credit. They can use this credit against the tax they owe, the payroll taxes they owe. And the next one is the tax credit for sick and family leave. So if the employee, it's similar to the leave credit the employee is having, and they want to take that money, and the government is reimbursing the employers whatever the money they pay to the employees. And the next one, the payroll tax, delayed payroll tax payments. So the government is very strict in US when it comes to payroll and the payroll taxes. So the penalties are very steep, and it goes up to like 200%. And in addition to the regular penalties, there is like a penalty on the individual person who is responsible for the payroll. He again has to pay another 200% of the tax amount. So in order to avoid those, these businesses make sure to pay the taxes on time. So now that government is giving them additional time to make these payments. So they're giving 2 years period of time to make these contribution. But by end of 2021, they need to pay by at least 50% of the payroll taxes, and another 50% by 2022. And the next one is charitable contribution. So a C corporation can make a contribution up to 10% of their income. And this one, after the CARES Act, and this got increased up to 25%. So C corporations can make now up to 25% of their net income as a charitable contribution. And entities also can make a contribution, and so that again gets flowed through to the individual taxpayer. So for example, if a S corporation makes a charitable contribution, that again flows through to the shareholders. It's called, when they file a S corp return, so each shareholder gets a form called a K1. So that K1 has the taxable income and also these deductions. And they need to report the income as well as the deduction on their individual return on the respective schedules. So then next one is the net operating loss deduction. So carrying back the net operating loss. So before, the taxpayer, when they incur a loss during the year, and he can carry back those losses to the previous year. And whatever the taxes he paid in the previous year, he can get it refunded. And also, if he is still left with some net operating losses, he can carry that to the future years up to 20 years. So before, it was like 2 years carry back and 20 years carry forward. And starting 2018, the government stopped this deduction, and now they are again brought back this. So when let's say the taxpayer had a profit and paid taxes every year, starting 2014, 15, 16, and he paid a lot of taxes those years. And now in 2019, the taxpayer incurred a loss. So in that case, he can carry back to 2014. And whatever the taxes he paid in 2014, it gets refunded to him. So that's how this works. And a carry forward loss, it's subject to 80% limitation, meaning if you have $100 loss, you can carry forward. You can use in the next year only $80. The rest of the $20 gets carried forward, provided you have income in the future. So as part of the CARES Act, the government started a program. It's called a PPP loan, a payroll protection program loan. So as I mentioned before, the businesses here started doing layoff, keeping employees in the payroll but no salary. So Congress passed this act, CARES Act, and that allows SBA, Small Business Administration. It gives loan through the bank, through these businesses. So any business having a payroll can apply for this loan, and the bank will give this loan. So for example, my monthly payroll expense is, let's say, 100,000. I have 20 employees and I pay 100,000 every month. And I will get 50,000 as my PPP loan. And if I use this loan towards payroll, and I don't have to pay it back. Similarly, again, if I use this loan against, rent, utilities, and mortgage expenses, I don't have to pay it back. So the maximum payroll I can use is 75% of the loan, and 25% I can use it for rent and other utilities. So if I use this loan towards the payroll and the payment of rent, mortgage, and utilities, so and I get any business can get 100% forgiven. They don't have to repay this loan. And it is like, I would say 100% of the businesses are using this opportunity to take this loan. So this payroll protection program is also applicable for a individual taxpayer when they have a Schedule C for small business people. So similar to payroll, it is calculated based on the net income, and they have a cap, annual cap of 100,000, of up to 100,000. That for 2 months payroll, it's averaged for 2 months. They don't have to repay it to the bank. And this is in short. I just want to share with you. And do you have any questions? And we can go over your questions if you have any.
Really, it was encouraging and a detailed study, Mr. Balaji, and we are happy to have you as a resource person. I think the participants, they have understood very well, and so far we have no questions. Now I have a question. I think
Sure.
the participants also may agree with me. So you have said rightly about the loan forgiveness. So
Right.
in India we are facing a lot of trouble regarding loans, farmer loan, and even now corporate people. So
Mhm.
what happened in Gujarat, Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya, and crores and crores of rupees, and they have taken loan. So
Right.
how we can see all these things in our pandemic period? How it will help our economy to have a good standard? Can you tell something about the loan forgiveness
Yeah,
regarding this issue?
sure,
Yeah.
sure. See, in US, when you compare with India, in US, it's very organized in every way. So, and most of the people file their taxes, and any company they have payroll. It's very organized. And the government, see, they announced this loan forgiveness program and the stimulus payment in February. Then they passed it in the Senate, and the Congress approved it in the House. Then the checks, they started, crediting the money in the bank account, the stimulus payments as early as in April. They got the money. Similarly, these the payroll protection program loans, and it's also like they announced in March and April. By end of April, so businesses are started getting money. But we have a difficulty in India because it's not that organized. And our finance minister also announced 20 lakh crores. And out of 20 lakh crores, the 9 lakh crores are for the small and medium businesses. And I too have a business, a small business in India, and I'm approaching the banks to see, any relief I get, comparing with, expecting some kind of delayed repayment. It may not be the forgiveness of loan, but some delayed repayments. And because of these complications, the banks are not able to put together a scheme, sooner than the later. So I hope something happens sooner, for these small and medium businesses, and the government provides a similar, what we have, delayed payments in US. So see, even that payroll protection program, the interest rate is 1%, and you can repay it in 24 months. So at the first 6 months, you don't have to pay it. So I hope something happens, sooner in India.
We hope, and we are waiting for the good results also. And
Sure.
yeah, really, you have given very good picture about what is happening in America and what is happening in India. And we, the Indians, we are very hardworking people and we are intelligent people. But
I mean,
our
you don't forget, I'm also from India.
yeah,
So,
yes, yes, of course. Yes, yes. Now, Balaji, we have another question from Vaishnavi
sure. Huh?
regarding the employee retention credit. How it
Okay.
is beneficial for the employer and employee. So, can you give some clarity on this employee retention uh,
Sure.
for, yeah. Hmm.
See, the way the employee retention credit works, as I mentioned here, it's very common to fire employees, and the companies stop the payroll, no salary, but they're still on the payroll, but they are employees, but they call it furlough and no employee. I mean, no payroll. So because of this, the people are not getting their salary, they're losing their money, the earnings. And the Congress introduced this employee retention credit. So it encourages employers to continue the payroll and pay these employees, and they can use, they get at least 5,000, per employee, or a maximum 5,000 per employee against the taxes they owe. They can use those. So this is, again, let's say you pay the payroll, 100,000, you get a credit. It's a deduction, as an expense you can deduct. So you make income, you take your deduction, and the balance you pay the taxes. So this one is not a deduction. It's a credit against your taxes you are going to owe. So it's a big benefit, and it will encourage, sure, the employers to keep the payroll running. That was a good question.
Yeah. Then another question given by yes, I will get it. Um, regarding charitable institutions, someone they have asked
Mhm.
charitable institutions, and
Right.
during this pandemic, how
Mhm.
this is the question: how many days has to take for getting approval after filing of written form for charitable trusts? Uh, any idea of how many days has to take for getting approval after filing of written?
See, the charitable return, it's called a Form 990 in US, and it's usually, let's say it's a December year end. So January to December, it's due May 15. And there is an extension of 2 months for a charitable organizations to file the return. And by July 15, they can file the return. And usually the charitable organization do not owe any taxes. They just report, the donations they received, receipts, also the payments they made. And similar to, the reliefs given to the individual taxpayers as well as the business taxpayers, the similar reliefs are available for the charitable organizations as well. So even like any charitable organization, they have the employees, and they can also apply for this payroll protection program loan, and still they get, the forgiveness for these loans as long as they use it for the payment of their salary and rent and the utilities.
Yeah, thank you, Balaji. Thank you. And
Sure.
Marimuthu Prakasam is asking, what is the opinion of RBI regarding EMI argument? Now, it's a current issue is going on in India, and
Right.
people they are suffering, and those who are having EMI. And so here, what is the opinion? If you have any idea of opinion, what is
I
your
mean,
opinion of?
Yeah.
See, initially the government of India gave RBI announced like 3-month extension, so they don't have to pay it back. So, but again, it becoming a burden to the the individual person, the taxpayers, because it's the 3 month. Again, they have to remember that interest keep accruing every month. So for example, if they have the the 3 years EMI.
Okay.
So, and the 3 month is like, it's not forgiven, it's just a postponement of EMI. So I do not think the RBI, announced, or the banks has any plans how they are going to collect these 3 months. Whether they are going to include it in the rest of the 33 months, or they are going to extend. So I believe they are going to include it and the remaining installments,
Okay.
and collect it from the individual taxpayer, customers.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Another one question from Santosh Kumar. On this COVID-19 time, whom you
Okay.
prefer to stay positive for the business, large business or small business person? So he is asking. Uh,
This is like a difficult situation for any business. It's not just a large business or small business, because uh, the economy is down. Uh, let's say a business is depending on a U.S. client, so now U.S. is closed, and there is no business here. Similarly, in India, all the sector is closed, and everybody is losing business, and the economy is going down. I think everyone need to stay strong. I do believe that economy will bounce back. The business will get back into our feet soon, and I hope this happens sooner than later. So
yeah.
everyone need to stay strong.
Yeah. Another Mrs. I think Mrs. Pooja Malaya. I think
Hmm?
she's continuously asking. Your
Okay.
session was very informative, sir. But what I don't get is how come you compare USA and India, considering the population and the pandemic situation are totally different. So she is asking continuously. I think you are the right person to ask to answer this question as a senior person
See,
in. Yeah, yeah.
okay, I get US and India. So it's
Yeah,
like comparing apples and oranges, apples with oranges, something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But what I want to happen in India is, the how the government reacted, not about controlling the COVID. I'm not getting into that. What I'm talking about is how the government reacted to help the the citizens of the country. How fast they were able to give that money to the individual taxpayers. How fast they are helping the businesses. By giving these loans. So, I'm comparing meaning. The Indian government also need to take a similar, step. They're taking. They announced a lot of schemes. 9 lakh crores they announced towards the small and medium businesses. So I hope this happens sooner. So there is no comparison.
okay. Yeah, another question by Brinda Bhaskaran. Now,
Hmm?
government has given many government sector to private. Does
Okay.
it cause any increase in upcoming our tax rates?
That will not. I don't think so, because the government, see, when the company is shifting from underdeveloped to developing country towards, we are still in a developing country. So the government cannot do all the work.
Yeah.
So, and at some point they need to like start privatizing or selling, the businesses. But the essential ones can the government need to keep control on the businesses that is there. But what I'm saying is, the government cannot do every function. So I don't think it will affect. In fact, it gives a lot of financial help to the government, so that government can spend, the under to those people.
Yes,
So I
another.
don't think that will increase the tax burden.
Yeah. I think you have answered all the questions, and I think our participants, they are more interested in asking a lot of doubts about taxation, and I'm also so happy. So the question and answer
Okay.
session, really, you are very clever in answering all the questions. Now we have our senior faculty eligible for 15G. I think based on
Indian
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 taxation.
income tax.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
studied 15G when I took my chartered accountancy or a tax accountancy, long time back.
Yeah.
I I don't know that. I don't remember. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, man. Maybe I'll do some research and you know I can get back
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Then another one question: how the small scale industries they can face the taxation? Any points for the small scale industries?
uh, to I see. I would say do the quality work, deliver the product on time. If the business keeps doing this, then they get their business automatically. So
Okay.
there is like a very tough competition between the small scale industries, and it is not that easy. It's like a
Okay.
delicate situation for businesses, but
Okay.
they have to keep the quality, and the customer priority. And as long as they deliver on time, that is from my experience. I'm talking.
Okay.
So as long as you do the quality work, you get your business.
Okay. They are asking, I think, Samuel Selvaraj is asking, can you explain some steps to improve the small scale industries?
I mean, now businesses are closed,
Yeah,
so we just need to wait. The Tamil
yeah,
Nadu government has announced like the industrial estate can operate with
okay,
25% of their strength, 25% of the employees. And we
okay,
saw the news on the other day that in the Nokia unit there was like 46 people are affected by COVID-19. So need to be careful, and they will bounce back. Need to stay positive, and they will bounce back again. And I hope that
yes.
government is doing these, there are a lot of schemes that will also help them, um, you know, to bounce back.
Um, I think we have answered all the questions what our participants asked. I think we can
Okay.
end with this question. Recently, our finance minister, Mrs. Nirmala
Nirmala
Sitharaman,
Sitharaman. Right.
yes, announced 21 lakh crores economy, or will it affect our people to have
No,
better?
see, okay. See, nobody expected, from our government that it's a very huge package.
Yeah.
The 21 lakh crore rupees. It's a very huge package. If it it will pump a lot of money into the economy, into people's hands. That will definitely improve the economy. But now the question is how they are going to do it. So I hope everything go well, and that they will soon they come up with plans to give the money to people, so that because small and medium scale businesses are the backbone of our country, so they are in need of money right now. So, and similarly farmers. So I hope these schemes they implement sooner than later, and that will help to bring back the economy up again.
Yes, Bolaji. We are happy to have you. I think most of the participants they are really happy about your presentation, about your inputs, and I could see the comment. I could see the lot of. I think after a long time, also I am also meeting you, and really, I think I need to thank our pandemic situation. Because of this, we are free little, and we are concentrating on online classes, online webinars, and
Right.
our PG Department of Commerce, St. Joseph's College, and we are organizing this international webinar series. And really, it's a, I don't know what to say in words, and we are grateful and we are thankful to you, and we have disturbed you enough, and you have spared your time. And I think this is a wrong time for you, and for us it's a good time, and for you is a night time, and even then you have spared your time, and it shows that your love and concern for us,
Of course.
and for our students also. Basically, our students, they are coming from the rural background, and they are
Mm.
going for part-time job, and mostly I could see the separated parents, and their family situation also is very
Right.
pathetic situation. But even then, their interest to come and study and to have the degree, and really we are happy. And moreover, our college is situated in the rural area, and
Right.
also it's a charitable institution. Our
Mm.
DMI and MMI fathers, they are running the institution, and
Right.
our founder, Reverend Father J. Elraj only, he had the broad vision of bringing the youngsters, and through education we can excel the society. So for that,
Of course.
yeah, they
Mm.
are doing the service, and really we are happy to have you as our part of our institution, and we always we will be grateful to you. And now,
Sure.
yeah. Any closing comments, Balaji? Any closing comments?
Uh, See, I want to thank you, Adikalam, for giving me this opportunity, to share my knowledge, and to every student here,
Yeah,
so stay strong. I came from a Tamil medium school, and, in a very small place, and,
yeah.
so there is like a lot of opportunity available. So stay strong, do good, and study hard. You will excel in your life, and you will succeed in your life. So always remember, hard work pays. And stay safe, yeah, stay well, and take care. Thank you, one and all.
Yeah, thank you, Balaji. Now I welcome Dr. Solomon to propose the vote of thanks. Welcome, sir. Solomon, sir. Can you propose the vote of thanks?
I think his mic is mute.
Ah, yes. Not able to. Yes. Solomon, sir. Dr. Solomon. I think. One minute. I think he's okay. I think due to technical difficulties, I think he's not able to come. Yeah, I take this opportunity. I very and you are very so. Given I think 98 they do a good for it,
And really, I extend my sincere thanks on behalf of PG Department of Commerce and on behalf of the management of St. Joseph's College. I extend our thanks, Balaji, and may God bless you to have a good health and a long life. Thank you, Balaji. Thank you so much.
Thank you and
And
take care.
yeah, and we will meet again.
And meet. Thank you.
Dear participants, we are going to have our second session around 12 p.m. today. It's HR challenges during the pandemic period. So I welcome you all for the next session, and the feedback link is in the chat box, and you can fill your feedback and you can get your e-certificate. Thank you, participants. Thank you for your patient listening and for your cooperation. I take this opportunity to thank our founder, Reverend Father J. L. Raj, and I thank our administrator, Reverend Sister Dr. K. Sandhya. I thank our principal, Dr. R. Ruben, and I thank our vice principals, Shamal Alexander, Mrs. Vijayalakshmi, and all the heads and the staff members. Thank you all, and we will meet again in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Manoj.
Right, வருமா